What's up, everyone? How's it going? We hope you are safe and sound. Apparently things are getting weird all over again, so we will urge you guys to stay safe.
Or you can join me in dancing around a campfire naked, trying to summon a comet to fucking end our existence.
Just finish it off.
Just get rid of it already. I'm fucking sick of this shit. It's ridiculous. Just come, comet, crash into us and kill us. Come, comet, crash into us and kill us. I'm naked around a campfire right now by myself. Yeah. And if you guys, when you hear this, just pause this right now. Go build a fire in your backyard or, the church parking lot. I don't care. Wherever, just build a big ass fire. Take off all your clothes. Get all your friends to also gather around said fire, taking off their clothes. And join me in summoning the comet to end all existence. And if you want to have an orgy afterwards, it just makes it that much more powerful. Even though New York State explicitly says no orgies, I say, fuck you, New York State. I will orgy while I'm summoning the giant comet that will end our existence.
The great do-over rock from the sky.
Yeah, and we'll go out with a bang. And a bang. It'll be fantastic.
Double bang.
Double bang. Bang, bang.
Well, I don't know why. I just got the urge to cover, I don't know if it's an old favorite. It's pretty new, but it's certainly one of my favorites. The good old Nightcrawlers.
The creepiest fuckers that have ever existed. They're like, it is the scariest cryptid, hands down.
It is pretty terrifying. We've talked about their rage mode that we suspect they go into, but I got to ask you, Mike, when those came out, it was like a different type of holy grail. We've talked about this before, and the main thing that got me into the paranormal was, besides experiences, was the idea of monsters. And we've often said the weirder it gets, the better. And when I saw this footage, man, I was so stoked. My mind was blown. I've had a little bit of experience with video editing, and I couldn't see anything shitty. I couldn't see anything fishy. It was just hard to believe what I was looking at. What was it like for you the first time you watched this Nightcrawler footage, either Fresno or Yosemite?
So the first time I saw it, it had this really creepy music to it too. So it like just added to the effect, because it was the night cam footage. So it was all silent, and then the music just like slowly fades in as it's walking, and it gets more and more ominous. And it wasn't like in a cheesy way. It was like legitimately freaky. And the thing that really got me, because of course my first thing is like, oh, this is bullshit. But the thing that got me was it doesn't look like CGI. The way that these things move in a way that I've never seen anything move. And the part where you see it walking, and then I can't remember if it's the smaller one or the larger one, but it looks like it almost falters and like kind of corrects its step as it's walking.
Yes, that's the thing that stuck out to me the most was its gait, its way of walking.
Yeah.
It was this weird stutter step movement. People attributed him instantly to puppeteers and puppets, but I didn't get that. Shortly after, there was a TV show. I forget the name. I'll put the clip of it up on the show notes because I found the clip for it. But I forget what it was called. They took like a Hollywood special effects guy, a CGI guy, some detective, and some investigator.
Fact or faked.
Yeah, and they would try to recreate paranormal stuff. And this is one that they did, and they couldn't recreate it. They couldn't get anything to look.
Yeah, they couldn't even figure out how it would have been done.
Yeah. So I didn't ever buy the puppet thing, but its movements are certainly weird. And the footage that I remember watching of the first one, the Fresno one, somebody ran a couple filters on it that were perfect for looking at this type of thing and trying to find bullshit. And there's nothing there. I'll send that video to you, Mike, so you can check it out. They run a couple embossment filters over it, so you'd be able to see any strings or nothing like that, and you can see the shadows of it still, but there's nothing else. And even the shadows in that first Fresno footage, the shadows that they're casting are coming from the perfect source of the light from the house. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that point out to it not being fake, more so than it being fake, other than it just being startling.
Yeah, because it's when you look at them, it doesn't make sense to us. You know, as like we see a cryptid like Bigfoot, and that makes sense to us. It looks like a large hairy hominid.
Right.
We see a cryptid like a chupacabra. You know, it's a quadruped, and it's like this weird alien creature thing. That makes sense because it looks, even though like, and when I say chupacabra, I'm not talking the fucking coyote with mange chupacabra. I'm talking like the crazy weird kangaroo spikes on the back thing that can fly, that thing. But as bizarre as it is, it still kind of makes sense to us. It's a quadruped. It jumps. It flies. It's attacking things and draining the blood. This thing, it looks like two stilts in a little tiny pea body. Right. It doesn't make any sense. Right. And you look at it and you try to rationalize what, and the way it walks, it looks like it takes a lot of effort just to do that movement. Like it doesn't make sense. And that's what's the weirdest thing about it. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I almost would have somebody, I almost see somebody believing footage or being more accepting of footage of a fucking dinosaur walking around some city streets before people were accepting of the Nightcrawler footage. Just, that's a good point that you bring up. It's just something we've never seen before. So our brain automatically kind of tells us not to believe it or question it, which is good, I guess. But I was just so stoked to, I mean, even supposed footage of one of these weird things, something we've never seen before. And again, with it looking so good. Now, what did you think about the Yosemite footage that came out? Okay, well, fuck that. Let's just do this. For anybody who hasn't seen the Nightcrawler footage, we're going to break them down. The first footage came out of Fresno, California. Now, this is where I found some discrepancies, Mike. I found a few different dates for when this video came out. Do you remember when the Fresno footage came out?
I do not remember it. It was probably around the year that we started, May 2013.
The first date I came across was November 2010.
Oh, shit. Okay.
And again, this came out of Fresno, California. This is a home security camera that belonged to a dude named Jose. He was the owner of the footage, and he contacted a local news station who agreed to come out and visit Jose and check out his freaky footage. There's a couple points of interest I found while doing research for this show, is that they could not figure out how to copy the footage. So she just ended up filming a monitor playing the footage, which is kind of what we're stuck with today. It's pretty diluted from what the real thing is. And a lot of people contest instantly is that it's so degraded you wouldn't be able to see any wires. But like I said, I'll put that footage up in the show notes too, so you guys can see the filters they put on it. But it wasn't until 3 months after Jose caught the strange footage that they visited. And he didn't want to show his face. He didn't want to use his last name. And he didn't allow MUFON investigators to visit and watch the footage from him. They had to watch the footage on the news. So that's pretty much how it got around. But one article I read said that the footage came out in 2007. And I also read in one account that the Fresno footage is actually the second tape to come out. It was the second appearance of a Nightcrawler, the first being yet another clip from a home security camera caught of what they were calling a stick person in San Diego in 2008. And I was wondering, were they confusing Fresno with San Diego? They're fucking 5.5 hours apart from each other, so I don't think they were doing that. But some reports say that the Fresno tape was made in 2008, so I'm not convinced that they're not confusing the same case, but I did come across another place that said there was a previous Nightcrawler piece of footage, and I couldn't find it.
So there's the Nightcrawler walking across the yard, and then there's the mama and the baby walking. But prior to those, or previous to those? You're
Yes.
saying that there was another one? Wow.
Yeah,
Huh.
the article I found, which again I'll throw in the show notes, it was talking about the Fresno Nightcrawler footage, and it started off with a new video of footage of a stick man in Fresno.
Was it a black stick man, maybe?
No, that's one thing I kind of perked my attention. I was looking for that, but they said it was the same type of creature caught on home footage in San Diego. So they were saying in this article that it predated this Fresno footage, which I found interesting. But the second sighting was the Yosemite footage, and this one it was really hard to find any information on. This one I couldn't figure out when it came out until I actually found the original fucking clip on YouTube, and it was uploaded April 3rd, 2011, and it's just called the Yosemite Nightcrawler footage. And that one is a little bit slanted. It's a darker green night vision. And as Mike mentioned, it looks like there's a mama and a baby. Now, after watching the Fresno one and then seeing the Yosemite one, were you disappointed at all, or were you stoked that there was more footage coming out?
So let me think, the Yosemite one was the first one I saw. And I remember I happened to see the Fresno one just by chance, because I was looking it up to show my oldest son this thing that I had just seen. And at the time, like I said, I think I found it in 2013. So he would have been like 7 or 8 at the time. And I wanted to look, so I looked up on YouTube. I just looked up Nightcrawler. I think Nightcrawler cryptid or something like that. Nightcrawler monster, so that I didn't get things about like the X-Men or about worms, So I wanted to, but I looked it up and I'm like, all right, here we go. And I showed him, and it wasn't the video. It was the Fresno one with the thing walking across the front yard. And I was like, oh, wow. I didn't even know there was a second one. This wasn't the one I wanted to show you, but look at how fucking weird this is. And then I showed him the other one, and the other one freaked him out because it was the one again with the creepy music, and it's just these weird things just slowly moving down the path. And those 2 videos are the only videos that I was aware of. And I didn't even know there was any other sightings of them until we had Aldo Poe on the show. I mean, shit, this was probably during our first year back when Aldo was a regular on the show. And I remember we had him on because we wanted to discuss the Nightcrawlers, but because there's only those 2 videos and no other information, we knew that we weren't going to have enough to cover a full show. So we had him on to just kind of shoot the shit. And he mentioned that there was another sighting in Ohio, but I never saw a photo or any footage of it.
See, it's funny that you mentioned that, because I found another case from Ohio, which we'll get into right after this. But I just wanted to read the video's description of the Yosemite footage that was uploaded to YouTube. It says, quote, "A retired couple was having trouble with break-ins in their Yosemite private property and aimed their security camera at the driveway to video visitors. They caught these things on their security camera and called me over to see, because they know I am interested in the paranormal. They gave me this digital copy, but I can't figure out what the crap they are. They remind me of the Fresno stick-like creatures, but they seem to transfer weight, and there are 2 here. Is one a baby? What are these? Nightcrawlers? Stickmen? Something new? What?" And that's the only info that I was able to find on the Yosemite footage. But when you saw the Yosemite footage, was it just as impressive as the Fresno footage to you?
Well, the Yosemite footage is what I saw first. So that was, to me, that was like the footage.
Okay. Yeah. So were they both equally impressive then?
Really, to me, the Yosemite one seemed more impressive because there were 2 of them. You can see like I said, that it kind of falters and has to regain its balance. And it just, I don't know, that it just sticks with me that. And then I saw a video analysis of it where they actually set up a camera in that driveway during the day and filmed down there, and they put various objects in place, like where the things would cross by, so you could see how tall they were. based on the size as it was walking by, and because they set up the camera in the same place, so it was same distance. So I think they used a basketball, a stroller, and a broom. And I believe the smaller one was around the size of a stroller, maybe a little shorter, and the taller one was the size of a broom.
Yeah, I saw that exact same thing that you're talking about, and it was shocking to see that.
Was I right? Was it a basketball, a broom, and a stroller?
I remember the stroller for sure, and I remember one being about as tall as a stroller, and that I think it was the smaller one, and that was big enough.
Yeah, but that after watching that, and then I saw the Fresno one, and the Fresno one was the one that Fact or Faked tried to duplicate. And to me, that one seemed like it would be easier to fake just because you're in a residential area. I think there was like clothesline or something in the shot, or there was something that you maybe could have suspended something from. But even still, like even thinking of that, you watch it move and it doesn't look like it's faked. And on the show, they tried to do it with like they replicated like what the creature looks like, and then tried to do it like run it down like a zip line. They tried to use like puppeteer system. I can't remember all the things. They tried a bunch of different tests to try to duplicate it, and they could not duplicate this thing. Like nothing they did. And again, one of these guys is a special effects expert. Like you would expect him to be able to figure out a way to make this look real, and he couldn't do it. And then they're like, well, maybe it was the grain of the footage. So they tried to make the footage more grainy, and it didn't make it look any more realistic.
No, and it didn't mask much of anything either. None of the wires that they were using.
Right. So it's weird, and it's clearly not a person because of the way it is. You know, it's essentially two stilts with something connecting it in the middle. So what the fuck is it?
Yeah, and if we're talking about puppeteering when it comes to the Fresno footage, I mean, the footage starts and they're coming from down the fucking street. This is Jim Henson level operators having these things come all the way down the street across this guy's yard, having them not fall over once or slip into an angle that's not believable or unnatural, you know, like leaning totally sideways and then picking it back up, and then it's continuing. I mean, one waits for the other one to, you know, for it to catch up.
Yeah. The big one waits for the little one to run up. So it's just so fucking weird, man.
It really is. I fucking love them, and I think they're authentic. One, I think whatever's in both sets of footage they're actually there, and I don't see any strings. I don't believe it's puppeteering. But doing a little bit of research, I wanted to see if anything had ever come of the fucking Nightcrawlers. Believe it or not, 2 years ago, there's a piece of footage that came out of Poland showing what I can only call a fucking Nightcrawler.
Out of like Poland in Europe?
Yes, sir.
Huh.
I just sent it to you on your phone. You can even hear them speak their native language in the clip. And I do have a couple problems with this clip, but it's pretty scary. You get a clear shot of this thing, and they've got a night vision camera, and they're trying to film outside. Just watch it. It's great. It's a great scary clip. This would scare me before any of the footage or the Yosemite footage.
Oh shit! All right, I just got him watching it right now. All right, no, that one is bullshit.
Yeah, that one looks like it has something coming out of the top of the head that it's holding it up.
Well, for one, the camera catches it for like a split second. You see one leg go up and then go back down, and then the camera moves and it just does nothing. It just sits there, and that's what it does. It doesn't follow it any further. And so you don't even really get the sense that the object, that whatever this thing is moving. It looks more like the camera is moving, and the thing is standing still, and just like it really looks like a human, like a person with like some sort of contraption to make it look like he's like lifting a leg. There's no real sense of locomotion in that in that footage, and you only see the thing for maybe a second and a half. The video is like a minute long, and you see it lift its leg up twice while the camera is moving, so it makes it appear like the object itself is moving. But it doesn't have the same look as these other things. It looks like someone trying to duplicate it.
Now, seeing that footage and how it's clearly some type of puppet, doesn't it strengthen the Yosemite and Fresno footage?
Yeah, I think. What's the second one you sent me?
The other one I sent you is something else. I came across this before I came across the Poland footage. And this, I think, is total bullshit too. But I think it's done well. This one actually has sound, and whatever the sounds this creature's making kind of match the surroundings. But I don't know. I took a couple of pictures and kind of point out what it is, but you check that one out. It's long, but you only need to see the first few moments.
All right, I'm watching it right now. Enough with your fucking logos, man. Holy shit. Sounds like a fox noise. Claiming to be a
It said it in the title.
Oh, Skinwalker is what it says.
Or Nightcrawler, Skinwalker / Nightcrawler. And it kind of makes some movements. As the video goes on, he'll slow it down and zoom in. And it kind of looks like a fucking person just striking some stupid pose for a video.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought as well. So I've got to say both of those are poop.
Okay, I also found just this picture. I couldn't find anything else. I looked for Nightcrawler news report, but apparently this is from a news broadcast. I couldn't even tell you fucking when. But it's an interesting photo, and they've got something circled in the background, and what appears to be a Nightcrawler that was seen walking in the background of this news clip.
I'll be the judge of that. Let's take a look here. Oh, I actually saw the video of that.
Really?
There's a video of it, and it is weird.
Is it moving?
Yeah, it moves.
Ooh.
Yeah, I don't know. That one seems like it could be doctored footage. I don't know if it was actually caught live or if it's something that somebody edited in after the fact, because it's not something that anybody reacts to.
Mm-hmm.
But there is footage of it moving, and it's because it's in the background. It could very easily be faked. I mean, I'm not a video expert. Fuck you, car. I'm not a video expert, so I don't know. Someone who's got that ability would be able to zoom in on it and be like, yeah, that's bullshit for sure. Or, maybe that's something real. But to me, it seems like it'd be more because it's like the same, because it's the same color as the background. It makes it, when you see it move, it almost looks like it's like pixelated, like Predator moving. So that sort of effect is very easy to fake. Okay. Not saying that means it's fake, but because it's on the internet, it probably is.
So the case that you brought up that Aldo mentioned, the one being from Ohio, ooh, that scared me. I had never heard of that one, and I found something that came from Ohio that it could be the same case, but we've seen the picture that the witness drew of this creature, and we've mistakenly, I don't know if we've used it, but we've just kind of tossed it in with the Fresno and Yosemite Nightcrawler. But this wasn't that. This is a completely different case. But what they describe in the sketch, it can only be a Nightcrawler. So it looks like the Nightcrawler was seen somewhere else, and this is in Ohio. This took place in December 12th, 2014. And Mike, you know the sketch that I'm talking about, right? You looked it up earlier before we started.
The one that looks like it's like leaning forward and running?
Yes, that one.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, I've got something that somebody is using to explain what they saw. And being where you're from, I want your opinion on that, because to me it was just hilarious. But
okay,
we'll get into that. But this was reported, like I said, December 12th, 2014, and it was reported to and investigated by Mr. Ron McGlone of the MUFON Ohio branch. And the 60-year-old former Marine and his wife, who remained nameless, were driving home that night when, quote, from their report, "We were driving home after turning on Carmel Road, which leads to our road, We went around the curve by the Carmel Church and then up a small incline, and approximately 10 feet over the incline and in front of our truck, the quote alien ran across the road into the woods. They described this thing as being at least 7 feet tall, gray in color, hairless, armless, headless torso mass with muscular legs and backwards bending knees, causing it to run in an odd manner. And the couple also mentioned that, quote, we first noticed after about 30 days of living here that we suddenly had a perfect circle that stays fresh green no matter what weather in our front yard. Some people were talking about that being a crop circle. I don't believe in the crop circle stuff. But after you hear that description and you see the sketch, the lady says that her husband, she had him sketch it when they got home. I mean, it's can only be a Nightcrawler, right? It seems like a fleshier, maybe Lovecraftian type of design, but it looks like a goddamn Nightcrawler.
Yeah, it really does look like a Nightcrawler. I don't know what else you would call that. It's got the only difference is, well, I guess there's a few differences. Because for one, they're saying that its legs bent backwards, which, man, I don't know what the deal with the traffic is tonight. Fucking pissing me off. For one, they mention the legs bending backwards, and when you look at the first two videos, you can see that the legs are stiff. They're not bending, and they're not leaning forward. They're remaining upright, and it's kind of just like they're reaching out a leg, putting the weight on the leg, moving the other leg forward, and repeating, so on and so forth. And if they're saying that it's got legs bending backwards, that gives me the impression that it's more like a bird, and they're saying it's leaning forward while it's running. So I don't know.
It's, to me, it sounds very similar, but
I mean, looking at the picture, like if you look at the picture that was drawn, it does look very similar just based on the picture alone. But because they're saying that the legs bent backwards and it leaned forward while running, that seems weird to me.
Yes, that is a very detailed point to make, and it's very observant. Plus the fact that they're saying that this thing was at least 7 feet tall. I mean, that differs a bunch from the Nightcrawlers, as we talked about them sizing it up with that stroller. And another thing, since we have footage of the Fresno and Yosemite creatures, they seem very cloth-like. And what they're describing seems like a jumble of Hellraiser-like twisted flesh-looking thing. When I first saw it, I said, oh, God, I wonder what the bone structure that would look like. And lo and behold, there's a drawing that somebody made of what the bones would kind of look like smashed in there. So it obviously it obviously has a very organic appearance in their description and how they saw it. So to me, it seems like a different creature. Maybe the Fresno and Yosemite things being almost like a spectral type thing, and this thing being a flesh and blood creature.
So maybe the original ones were ghosts, and this one is the living embodiment. Maybe, is that what you're proposing?
Maybe not ghosts, but like a creature on that realm. I don't know, because they seemed way more out of place than something running across the road. It seemed hard for them to walk. They seemed like they were doing everything they could to stand upright. Or not stand upright. That's a bad way to put it because it lends to the puppet thing. But it just seemed like they were making sure their footing with every step. Something very organic looking. But I don't know. It seems a little too different for me. My mind almost goes towards, I don't know. This is in Ohio. Aren't all those weird tunnels connected around there?
Well, I think in southern Ohio they go into Kentucky,
right?
But I don't know how much that has to do with it, or how much if there's weird stick demons that live in these mines or underground or whatever.
Okay, so I just sent you the photo that's being used to explain what they possibly saw. Now, do deer usually run across the street like this, Mike?
Well, let me take a look. So that's a deer standing on its hind legs?
Yeah, it's a deer standing on its hind legs with its arms back and its head flailed back. And they're saying that they saw a deer in that position and it ran across the street on two legs across a 2-lane road.
So if that's the case, if this was a deer running across the street on hind legs, one, it's not a natural deer. And two, it's very likely a skinwalker and they're lucky to be alive. Because that's in a lot of skinwalker sightings, and now skinwalker are the I'm not talking about Skinwalker Ranch, but Skinwalker Ranch was named after the Skinwalkers. But for anyone who doesn't know what a skinwalker is, it's a evil Native American shaman, I guess. I don't know if you'd want to use the term shaman, or basically a magic man who's able to change his skin. That's why it's called the Skinwalker.
Well, would you agree that the Skinwalker has received the same Chupacabra's treatment when it comes to splitting off into a different entity? Because every time somebody depicts one, it's a skeleton with a fucking, like a deer's head with tattered, ripped up clothes, and then other depictions.
No, that's the Wendigo.
I get the Skinwalker described as that as well. And then somebody will just because it was described as being in the form at Skinwalker Ranch, a big dog, they'll call that a skinwalker, and it just gets thrown everywhere now.
Usually with traditionally a skinwalker will be able to take the shape of animals native to that area, and usually there'll be something a little bit off with them. People will witness them walking on their hind legs when animals in nature, especially animals like deer and coyote and wolves, will not do that. There's no reason for them to do that. Or they'll find like a regular looking animal, but it'll have a human face or it'll have human hands. Usually there's something off about the animal that'll indicate that it's not what it appears to be at first glance. And usually the skinwalker will take these shapes in order to either spread evil or sow chaos, things like that. They work for the negative side of things. They're not beneficial, and that's why the area where Skinwalker Ranch is, it is in this area that the natives, the Ute tribe, referred to as being in the shadow of the Skinwalker. And traditionally, going back many generations, this land was avoided completely because it fell in the shadow of the Skinwalker, which means it was cursed land and you couldn't go there. So, I mean, if they're saying this was a deer walking across the road on its hind legs, that would never happen in the wild. There's no reason for that. And if that's what they saw, then it's still fucking paranormal. You can say it was a deer walking across on its hind legs, and that's fine. Totally fine. I will back that. Sure. It was a deer walking on its hind legs, which means it was a fucking skinwalker, and I'm glad it didn't eat my face.
Yeah, after you saying that, it definitely sounds like it was a skinwalker that kind of transformed into a deer that was trying to get the fuck out of Dodge.
I mean, to be completely, like, I see deer almost on a daily basis. Like today, for instance, just driving, I had to go up to the place that I work today, and I work at a college that's up in the hills. It's an agricultural college, specializes in farming and all that. But the entire area surrounding is just hills, woodland, and farms. And driving home, there's this huge field surrounded by a forest, and there's like 20 deer in the field. Deer of all, adults to young deer to ones that look like maybe they were born a couple weeks ago, like little tiny fuzzy cute little fuckers. And I see deer every single day. I see them in the road, I see them in the fields, I see them in the woods. Sometimes I have them, I've got woods across the street from my house, and they'll be in my backyard sometimes. I see them a lot, and I can say with 100% certainty that I have never, ever, ever seen a deer walk on its hind legs. I've never even seen a deer stand up on its hind legs for anything other than, it's about to jump.
Yeah, the one in the picture kind of looks like it's a deer from maybe like a reserve or a rescue, and it's like rearing up to like somebody's literally pat their chest for it to come up and take a
Yeah,
bite.
or it's like about to jump, and they just caught it from that angle, and it looks like it's standing up.
Or it's going to do that crazy deer kung fu super fast hand chopping motion that they do when they fight. Maybe that person was an intruder and they're about to get fucked up.
I mean, that's a possibility. You never know. Deer jitsu is a real thing.
Known to all deer, born with the knowledge of all ancient bovine martial arts. Are they bovine?
No, they're not. They're ungulates, I think.
I think you're right.
Let me look that up.
You look that up. I also, while you do that, I also sent you some photos.
Yeah, they're ungulates.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well done, Mike.
Go me.
I sent you some photos of some things that popped up when the Fresno footage.
Man, you're sending me all sorts of stuff.
I'm on it.
I get a feeling like you're just trying to get me worked up here.
No,
and it's just gonna end with a wet fart.
This does actually. And I think we mentioned this when we talked about this with Aldo, but it's just to kind of demonstrate the Nightcrawlers aren't free of fuckery when it comes to stories about them. But I sent you these photos that are of hand-carved statues that are around 7 to 12 feet tall. They're made of wood.
Does that one have a dick?
I hope so.
I think the third one you sent me has a dick.
Sick. I think all these creatures should have a dick hanging out. These photos of these things, I mean, these things are carvings of Nightcrawlers, right?
Yeah. Well, I shouldn't say definitely, but it seems pretty suspect that it's just two long legs and a head in the middle.
Right. And when these photos came out, they were accompanied with the story of local Native Americans had carved these idols centuries ago as an homage to the peaceful coexistence between humans and these tall, armless, legless, heads on legs guardians of the forest. But I came across one video that claimed to be debunking that, which I'll again put in the show notes. But he researched the local area and even dove into the local tribe, the Yosemite tribe, and their history and legends and lore, where he found no such thing at all. And he even found that the photos came from a lady in Florida who said she got them in New Jersey, and him and his assistant on that channel spent a month trying to locate these statues, and he couldn't find them anywhere near Yosemite National Park, which is where they're linking the whole Native American tie to them. He mentioned something that sounded vaguely familiar. I think he said he thought somebody he's heard somewhere. And I remember this from when we covered this with Aldo, that they were traced to being in front of a DMV somewhere, maybe Arizona. So those statues, if you see those pictures of those carvings of those things, they actually have nothing to do with the Nightcrawlers.
Then why does it have a dick, Mateo?
Because everything's got to reproduce and or pee.
Well, why do they need a dick, though?
You just want them to have like a little exit belly button hole?
It's not a dick. It's just a really big outie.
That pee shoots out of. Oh, God.
What if it's not pee, though?
What if it's reproductive juices?
Or maybe it's just like what they do when they're scared. like horned toads that squirt blood out of their eyes. Just like, and they discharge out of their belly button.
That's gross. Nah.
It's natural. Leave them alone.
It's natural for Nightcrawlers. Yeah, we've always joked around about running into one of those and having it turn nasty, but after reading about that Carmel, what they call it, the Carmel Area Creature, I mean, having it look like a twisted blob of flesh like that's scarier. Those little cute bumbly ones, I'll run into those. But yeah, what if those turn all crazy like we said? We actually got a question from Gail the Snail on our Discord about them, and she asked, how do they scratch an itch? And me and Mike both, without discussing it, concurrently agreed. They do that with friction, and that's probably the cause of 20% of forest fires, along with Jetpack the owlbear.
Yeah, well, Jetpack the owlbear is like, I think he's the number one reason.
Yeah, of all forest fires.
Yeah, like blame that completely on the entire Australian debacle. Jetpack.
Oh yeah, that idiot tried to save somebody's life because they didn't put out a campfire and he wanted to yell at them. They said,
for those that are wondering what the fuck we're talking about, we did a Patreon episode a while, like one of the first ones we did.
Was it a Patreon episode?
I think it was. I'm pretty sure it was Patreon.
So nobody heard the Jetpack the owlbear jingle?
I don't know. If I'm wrong, tell me I'm an idiot. But if you're sitting there listening and being like, what the fuck is Jetpack the owlbear? I'm pretty sure it was a Patreon thing. And we made a really awesome Jetpack the owlbear sticker for our Patreons a while back too. But maybe it was a regular show thing. I can't remember. But, you know, go join Patreon anyway so you can hear about Jetpack the owlbear and things like that, maybe.
Yeah, I think we used him as an explanation for the missing people in the national forest. Like he tries to go say, like the ones that are refound.
I don't even remember. I remember the theme song, and that's really all that I remember about him.
A jetpack owlbear. If you're lost in the woods, don't be scared. There's Jetpack the owlbear. I'll never forget it. Yeah, but his jetpack starts fires unintentionally and creates havoc while he saves missing children and returns them. You know, the ones that are like, it was a creature, and they can't tell what it is because it's an owl bear with a jetpack on. So, yeah, could be
Flatwoods Monster. Who knows?
Yeah, but maybe he's the natural enemy of Nightcrawlers and he eats them like worms. Maybe he was seen in the Yosemite National Forest and they were getting the fuck out of there before they became owlbear food.
You might be onto something.
Yeah, but I don't believe in that Polish footage. I wish it was another cool piece of footage. I mean, what do you think about when you see home security footage like that? Because I even read a couple of people going, oh, the second one was caught on home security camera. Who would have thought that? Does that bother you when stuff's caught on that? I mean, that's the shit's going to catch this shit, right?
So I can see it from both sides. For one, that footage is typically grainy. So I think it's easier to fake. But also, like, for what purpose would they have to be like, yeah, I found this weird monster thing walking through my front yard? Like, it's, I think when, and you know, maybe I'm wrong, but when people are going to hoax something, I think it makes more sense to hoax something that's known rather than just trying to create your own. You know, if you're trying to get attention and you're like, hey, this weird fucking stick figure just walked through my yard, people are going to be like, what the fuck? But if you're like, hey, I've got footage of a gray alien running across my yard, and you go and get your kid dressed up like a gray alien and he runs across your yard. It's like, oh my God, it's definitive footage of gray aliens. And then, you know, you hook like a pulley system up so that it looks like he floats away at the end or something. That makes more sense. Or fucking attaching a few extra legs to your dog to make it look like a fucking displacer beast or something.
Ooh.
I don't know. But it makes more sense to me to try to hoax something that's known versus something that is just like so beyond what we would consider normal.
Right. Well, I hope we get more Nightcrawler footage. Although, looking at the dates, man, that sucks. That was a long-ass fucking time ago. I didn't realize it was that long ago, and I don't think we'll get any new Nightcrawler sightings.
Unless those were just scouts, and they were just like, you know what? These people don't got shit. And all of a sudden, they just fucking appear and start taking shit over. And we're like, oh my God.
Yeah, wait, watch how...
like stick figures.
Yeah, watch how hard we'll be laughing when the alien invasion does happen and a bunch of Nightcrawlers pop out of these flying saucers that land on the White House lawn. And they're going to bumble around and we're going to laugh. And then they're going to go feral like we talk about and grow teeth, kick you in the balls.
We'll be like, oh, you guys can hardly even walk on those stilt legs. And then we start setting up tripwires, and then they reveal the reason for their body shape, and they like fold their legs up and they are able to fly, and they just open up. That's why it looks like they're wearing MC Hammer pants, because they're actually fucking wings. They're walking on the tips of their wings, and they're like whoosh, and the underside has like a lamprey fucking mouth, and it just attaches to your brain and eats it.
Oh my God. Yeah. Do they fly straight forward with those legs pointing forward and spear right through your chest?
Oh my God. Yeah. They've got retractable claws in those things.
Yeah.
Like, you know what? Wing power, activate, whoosh, and then they take off, and you're like, oh my God, and they stab you, and then bury their lamprey face in your chest and just destroy your life.
Can you see us in like a cool Michael Bay summer blockbuster when they're on the White House lawn and everything's on fire and they pop out and they're all cute and ghostly and everyone lowers their guns and there's me and you running up to the scene in slow-mo just going, no, they'll go feral. And one guy reaches out to touch it and it just gnaws off his hand in one bite. We can picture that. They can't. They've never seen what we look like. So I can picture you doing that. Mike, you're wearing like a blue windbreaker that says FBI that they gave you as a specialist on the subject. It's going to be great. You have some weird badge around your neck that says visitor. But all hell breaks loose during our briefing. Fuck yeah.
No, they give me it because I'm cold. Let's be honest. Like I show up and I'm like, that's a Nightcrawler. And they're like, we don't know what a Nightcrawler is. I'm like, oh man, it's a little chilly. Let me word you guys up about this. And I start telling them about it. I'm like, man, can somebody get me a blanket or something? It's fucking cold. And they're like, oh, here. And they give me an FBI windbreaker. And I'm like, yeah, windbreaker. And then I put on a fucking pair of aviators and nobody knows that I'm not an FBI agent. So then I just start going around yelling at cops and shit because I'm an FBI agent now and they can't fuck with me. And then everyone forgets about that because there's a renegade FBI agent who's hunting cryptids now. And secretly he's not an FBI agent. He's just some kid who was cold.
Yeah, I'll constantly be arrested for being a homeless man following FBI agents. Like, no, he's with me. He's with me.
Yeah, he's cool. He's got a katana sword.
Yeah, a couple of them.
Yeah. And I mean, that's their weakness. You got to katana them to death. As they fly at you, just katana the shit out of them.
Yeah, the bullets don't do anything. They need cold, hard steel.
You got to do like one of those cool video game moves where you know, like in Ninja Turtles when you get the bomb pizza and you just stick your weapons out and start spinning in circles and killing all the foot soldiers. Yeah, exactly. That's what you have to do.
We're going to need all the nerds who took all those lightsaber college course classes to arm up.
Yes, all you Star Wars nerds, we need your help to defeat the scourge of the spindly legged / wing skin Nightcrawler things that want to eat brains on the White House lawn.
They're coming for you.
And your babies.
Thank you for listening to the Whatcast. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, iTunes, and YouTube. Enjoy the podcast. Get yourself a Whatcast t-shirt or a sticker pack. Who was that dude on that one episode? Try the links in Homie's page. All this and more can be found at www.thewhatcasters.com. Thanks again for listening and have a great week.